I can recall myself like losing my shit. I was just sitting on my bed. I was panicking, freaking out because, as I said, I was in debt. Nothing worked. I believed so much in this and nothing worked. So I essentially told to myself that you have 2 months to succeed. And I had to figure out a way. How do I become a global level creator from practically what at that point was almost zero in 2 months? Because I was earning like $300 a month.
I'm Farah Shamas. Welcome to Hotel Talk. We hope you enjoy listening to this friendly conversation between people connected by real life in hotels. Welcome to Hotel Talk, and my guest today needs no introduction, or at least for anybody who's on YouTube and Instagram and any notable social media platform. It is none other than Vlad NCL, who is Cyprus's biggest influencer and YouTuber.
I mean, technically, I feel like in both Greek-speaking countries.
There you go. I didn't even mention Greece. I'm like so proud of Cyprus, but yes, in Greece as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's amazing. Vlad, welcome, first of all, to the hotel, to San Rafael. We connected recently, hence the name Hotel Talk. I meet so many people in this industry because of this industry, but we'd met before as well at the Miko events. So I told you before we started this podcast, I'm just going to ask you loads of questions. Feel free to answer.
That's completely fine.
We're just going to have fun. And there's so much to talk about. So let's start at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us who's Vlad? Where did you grow up? Who are you? I know that you're not 100% Cypriot. You're born and raised here, but your mother's,
So I'm 26 years old. I was born in Cyprus. I'm half Russian, half Cypriot, Russian from my mother's side. And I mean, I'm gonna speed run a little bit like my really young years because there is so much stuff in there. So I'll try to keep it like to the point and
Although I want to hear some of the young years.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna cover.
Yeah.
So essentially my young years weren't the best. Let's say I was like raised in an abusive household from my father. And my dad would be the kind of guy who would cheat on his wife, who would go gambling with the money he made, nightlife, not the best role model, right?
Yeah.
So eventually my mother couldn't take it anymore. So she grabbed whatever like little stuff we had and we left into an empty apartment with no money.
When you say we, you're the only child?
Yeah,
or there was other kids?
I am the only child from my mother's part. Mm-hmm. My father has like 4 other children, which we very, very occasionally like came close. For example, I might see like my older brother like once every 10 days or something. My sisters even rarer than that, maybe once a month. Yeah.
So, okay, but that's not. I mean, for adults, that's quite often actually to see them that much.
Yeah. So, anyways, we left the tavern because we didn't really have a house, right?
So he owned a taverna.
Yeah, he owned a taverna. Right?
And you were living in the taverna.
In a room, yeah.
In a room in the taverna.
Yeah,
like
so basically,
upstairs.
It wasn't exactly upstairs. It was like one floor.
Yeah.
And right next wall, it would be like the big room with all the tables, the music and stuff like that. So it was kind of difficult to sleep at nights because of that. Because
it would
like.
And so you and your mum, was your mum working in the taverna?
Yeah.
So you were a little child in this hectic environment, sleeping in a room with a full restaurant going on.
Yeah, right outside my room, to be honest, was the kitchen.
Yeah.
So it was like, as soon as I exit my room, right in front of me is the kitchen.
Yeah.
And on the next side, like on the other wall, is the entire like tavern, the indoor area.
Yeah. And you were and what age did your mother leave that environment? How old were you?
Hold on, it was 2006, so I was 8.
You were 8. Okay, but so you have really vivid memories of that time.
Actually, I have pretty clear memories, at least most of the times, because it was so strong, like emotion capturing moments, that they really stuck in my head. So,
do you have happy moments, happy memories from that time?
Very few, very, very few.
It was so until you were 8, which is really the time you were developing your subconscious. You have mainly like quite unhappy
Yeah.
memories of an abusive father
Mhm.
and this busy taverna
Yeah.
that was going on. And did you connect with any of the guests? Did you ever see anyone, or were you very much like in the shadows?
Not really. I mean, sometimes I would talk to the
Mm,
guests and stuff. Like I would even help a little bit, take a few
yeah.
plays here and there. But I was trying to stay away from that place for as long as possible.
Mm,
So the moment I would come back from school, I would just like go and maybe find some other kids like
mm,
in the nearby neighborhoods to play with.
mm,
And that's what I would do for at least 5 to 6 hours every day.
mm.
Like the moment I would come back, I would just go and like meet up with some friends, play some football, play some video games maybe, and I would keep that up all the way till maybe 9 p.m. or something, and then I would come back.
And you were
That's
doing that so that you weren't in that
Yeah,
environment with
yeah,
your
that's what I
dad.
would do most of the times.
Mm. And your dad was abusive towards your mother and you.
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't really hit me a
Mm,
lot. It happened, but it was like a more rare occasion.
mm,
But the thing that was like damaging me more was the entire emotional thing because obviously he I would see him like abusing my mom, and outside of that he would also call me like useless. He would call
yeah, the
me,
verbal abuse. Mm.
yeah, I don't know, can I use a slur
Yeah,
or
please
something
do.
as part
Yeah.
of, okay, so basically he would just come to me and be like, oh, your mother is a whore, your mother is a slut, she gets fucked by that guy, stuff like that.
And
So
you say that and you're smiling because have you just managed to detach yourself, or you just realize as an adult how crazy that
I mean, it's a
situation
little bit of
was?
everything, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I feel like even though most people would find it crazy, but I don't feel like overall that did like harm to me. I consider that it helped me overall.
But is it because you've detached yourself so much, or is it because you've taken everything that happened and you're like, now I know what I don't want to be?
That is one very big part.
Mm,
That is definitely one very big part that I see what I don't want to be. I
mhm,
see that I don't want to be involved in all the alcohol,
mhm,
gambling, bullshit. And aside from that, I also have the mentality that okay, since I've went through that and I'm completely fine, then there is nothing else that can really cause me trouble. Because most people complain all the time that this is way too difficult, this requires way too much work, blah 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 blah. But at the same time, in my mindset, I'm like, okay, if you compare like anything to that, the anything is much easier.
much easier, and definitely being in an abusive
Yeah,
environment.
so I kind of feel happy about it in that aspect.
And the other thing that you've mentioned that definitely has made an impact, I think, is you having, because you didn't want to be in that environment, you went to find friends, you therefore learned to be quite sociable and with others in the neighborhood, and
Mm,
also creative.
mm. I mean, the
Because,
creative part I always had it because I remember that when I was like leaving the place,
mm,
what I would do even when I was alone and I didn't have like
mm,
anyone to do it with, I would find like what we call in Cyprus horafes, like
yeah,
empty
yeah,
spaces.
yeah. Fields,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's not exactly a field; it's more like an empty.
Well, it's not, and not as in the way they say it in the UK. Like
Yeah, not
it's not a rolling green field,
yeah.
but it's a
It's
plot
the
that is,
contrary.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
plot with
yeah.
chaquilla.
Yeah, yeah, with some stones and a bit
With
of
the
weeds.
stones and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, so I would do is that I would walk around like near garbage whenever people would throw stuff, and I would find like big planks of wood, tables, whatever you can imagine that can be used as a building material.
Mm.
And I would do like small houses, stuff like that. I mean, I was like 8, 10 years old, whatever. So that was kind of thing. So I did have creativity. Like I remember I would even like whenever I found like a big steady tree, I would get ropes and try
Yeah, and
and
try and
create
be.
like a tree house kind of thing.
Yeah, but that creativity. I mean, I say as a mum of three, kids are creative, but creativity comes from boredom or being forced out. Like now, let's say there's so many kids, they're just on their iPads and watching TV.
Mm,
And so they're never bored. They're actually overstimulated. They've got football practice, basketball,
yeah.
table tennis, everything all day. So they actually, their brain isn't allowed to be creative.
Hmm.
Whereas you were kind of left unsupervised in your own world,
Yeah, completely.
growing up having to be, well, wanting to escape from this unpleasant environment.
Yeah.
And then
I
you
also
went
have a fun
into
fact
like,
about that.
tell me.
Because always I would live like on my bicycle and go to other neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I later on in life that I realized why my calves are absolutely huge. I actually have huge calves. And I was like, wait, I was cycling for years, especially when your body's developing
Yeah.
for about like 4 or 5 hours a day.
I'm
Because
like, I want to see your calves now. Come on. Oh, there they are.
I have never trained calves in my life. And this
Wow,
is the
yeah, it's from
and I have huge
cycling.
calves, yeah.
You know what? Years ago at the hotel, we had this amazing masseuse who had originally been a physiotherapist. So,
Mhm.
and so she was all for like body recoveries and whatever.
Yeah.
And like she knew just from massaging someone what sports they'd done growing up.
Oh damn.
Isn't
Okay.
that insane?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like she said to me, I grew up horse riding, and she said you were a horse rider. She said it was either that or I can't remember, I think cycling or something, but she knew from the muscles.
Mm.
And she was saying how like muscle memory, and at that point I hadn't been horse riding in years. She was like, yeah, but it's there. So
Damn.
yeah, you got the cyclist body. I don't know. I mean, amazing. So okay, so your poor mummy left. She said that's it, enough. She took, which
Yeah.
is amazing because had she have stayed, you might have grown up thinking this behavior is acceptable. But the fact that she left and was like,
Yeah,
this
very
isn't
likely. Very
acceptable,
likely, yeah. Mm.
helped you
Mhm.
hopefully not go down the same path as your dad and yeah, turn into something better. So she moved into a small place, you
Yeah,
were saying?
we moved into like small place. I remember like the very first days we had absolutely nothing. So like my food for the day would be some bread with some Pringles kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I also changed school, everything. I went to a completely different place. My father,
Also, she had to move your
yeah,
school as
everything,
well.
everything.
Yeah.
And I remember that my father would actually like drive around in the city trying to find us, and which was kind of scary. It
Yeah.
was pretty scary.
How did you find out that? I mean, did people tell you or?
I mean, my mother told me,
Yeah.
so I would assume he would like message her and stuff.
Yeah.
And one day I remember that he actually like saw the car we were driving in the street and he was following us and we eventually like managed to get out. I do remember that as a core memory.
Did your mother ever go to the police or did she file any complaints or?
No, because technically she didn't have any papers that she was like Cypriot or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
So even if she went to the police, technically she's an immigrant yet at that point.
Illegal.
It wasn't exactly legal, but she was allowed to stay because of my father.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
understand that it doesn't make sense that
Yeah.
if she's allowed to stay because of my father,
And she's not with him,
yeah,
then
that
they'll just say, great, we'll go back to you.
yeah,
Yeah.
stuff like that. I
Yeah.
don't know exactly how the law and everything worked back then, but that's kind of what I would assume.
And you speak fluent Russian as well as Greek.
I don't speak fluent Russian. I can definitely understand like 90% of anyone that speaks in Russian. And I can speak Russian relatively well, at least the everyday language. My only issue is when it comes to writing, I read really slow. Like I would read this like Sant Rafael. That's the kind of speed I would read in. And because I didn't have any Russian education.
Yeah.
So I had to like
it's
get
good enough to me. It sounds like.
yeah, it's okay.
I think you're undervaluing your capabilities. That's
I mean,
still
it's
amazing.
okay, I guess, but that's there are many words that I would understand them if somebody else said them, but when I have to describe something and I need to use a specific word, it just doesn't come naturally to me.
Yeah. Okay.
So, for example,
But
I
it's
would
not
know
your
that
first
this.
language. I
Yeah.
mean,
So, for example, I know that this is called a glass, right? But when I would like to say, "Oh, I grabbed the glass," I would be like, "Oh, I grabbed the." But if
yeah.
somebody else says glass, I don't know what they're referring to.
All right, say a couple of sentences in Russian for our Russian
Ну,
listeners.
да, например, я могу прекрасно говорить по-русски, но у меня есть много слов, которые я вообще ничего не помню.
Well, sounds fluent to me, so.
The accent is clean, though, gotta give them that.
Okay, so you were a young boy, you knew your daddy was trying to find you, you're with your mummy. How did you feel? Did you feel protective? Did you suddenly feel like the man of the house? Did you feel...
I was scared as fuck.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was scared because he would constantly keep calling us.
You were only 8. I mean, you just met my son in the lobby. He's 9. Like, that was you,
Yeah.
petrified.
And essentially, he was calling me, and eventually, like, we answered the phone, and he's like, "I want to speak to my son. I want to speak to my son." And when, like, my mom would hand me over the phone, he would be like, "I'll legally erase you from, like, my son."
Yeah.
I don't remember, like,
Yeah, yeah,
what's the
yeah.
word for that in English? Apokliroso, that's the word in Greek.
Yeah, I'll just disown you.
Yeah, disown you. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'll disown you. Your mother is a slut. Blah 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 blah. And he would just scream to me over that the phone. Eventually, he went to court
Mm.
and he won like to be able to see me 2 times a week.
Mm.
For which, like, my mom had to uh, take me to his tavern on the weekends because also she didn't have like anywhere else to leave me at that point. I was
But
still kind of young, so
but didn't that break her heart? I mean, wasn't she
I
sick with
mean,
worry?
she was, especially at the start,
Mm.
but what can you do? you know,
Yeah,
that's
but
the law.
still,
What
like,
can you
even
do?
if some guy was, beating me up and being abusive and shouting at my kid, and then I had to hand my child over to
Yeah,
him
twice a
twice a
week.
week, unsupervised, not with me there to
Yeah,
protect
yeah. She
him,
and she was at work.
I
Yeah,
would be, yeah. And what job was she doing?
she was a waitress.
Okay,
She was
and
actually
then she was
working two
working
jobs at that
weekend. Yeah,
point. She was
yeah,
having like both a like morning job and a
yeah.
night job at two
Bless
different
her.
places.
Yeah. So again, you were left a lot alone.
I was
Yeah.
alone like 99% of the day. I would
Mm.
see her only the moment I woke up when she took me to school.
Mm.
The moment she would pick me up from school, at
Mm.
least for some years, because later on she was working, so I had to walk to home.
Mm.
That was when I was like progymnasio. I should be like 12, 13 around.
Mm.
I don't remember exactly, but it was like the first class of gymnasium. From that point on, I would always walk home. So I think I was like 12 or 13, if I'm not mistaken.
And
So I would see her only in the morning, maybe,
mm.
because at that point I would also walk to school, not only come back. So I would maybe see her in the afternoon and whenever she finished the job at night. So I was like alone
Yeah,
all the
bless
time.
her, just
Yeah.
to work and provide.
hmm
Okay, so another question now. I mean, sometimes it might not be the actual amount of time, but the quality time. But was your mother I'm sure she was an amazing mom, but
Cheers.
was she a very openly affectionate mother? Was she, because I know also the Russian culture,
Yeah,
it's a bit like my
yeah,
mother's British. It's a bit like
that was
that
about to say.
upper, stiff
She was
more and
affectionate in her own way
yeah,
because Russian households and
yeah,
Russian mentality overall are way more like strict. They're more
mm,
stiff. They're trying to make their children grow up
yeah,
in
and
a way
stronger.
that they don't need them and they're strong, right? And I'm really happy because she actually achieved that.
Mm,
Like many Cypriots don't have that
no,
at all. They're very loving. They're very like even if their son is 20 years old, they will still like be like, "Oh, my little baby,
yeah,
did
not
you eat
2050
yeah,
tomorrow,
yeah.
you
Did
know,
you eat today? Stuff like
yeah,
that. But in Russian culture, because I always like most of my friends were always also half Russian.
I really,
At 15 years old, we would already be like treated. You're 15. You're a freaking man. What are you doing?
yeah,
Like, go
yeah.
get the job, kind of thing,
Yeah, 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 it is. It's more I mean, I see.
Which at the point it seems harsh. Not gonna lie,
Mm,
especially if you compare it to like your peers who are not
yeah, with
half
their
Russian and
Cypriot
stuff. Yeah,
mothers,
with
like,
Cypriot mothers, it's completely different, which seems kind of harsh. But at the end of the day, you're very happy that you
yeah,
were raised that
yeah,
way.
definitely because you became independent. But do you think? I mean, definitely affected you, but how did it affect you in that you were scared, you came from this abusive background, you were suddenly, you know, isolated with your mother, and then did you maybe crave like cuddles or more open affection,
Not
or
really. I never really
just
was.
because it was the way it
I
was?
was never thinking of it because you
Yeah.
gotta realize one thing because I never had that kind of thing
Mm.
to a serious
Yes.
point. Things that normal families have and they consider it completely normal. It was such a foreign concept to me that I've never even think about it.
Mm.
And there is a really fun story that I've never realized it until the point I lived it. Right, when I was hold on, 19 roughly. I went to a girl's house that we were friends with, and they were having lunch, right? And the food was ready. And she said, "Wait, we're gonna wait for the family to eat." And at that point, because we've never eaten as a family, like all together, I was like, oh wait, that actually makes sense. Like it was such a foreign concept to me that
sit around a
that
table.
we sit around the table as a family and eat. That was such a foreign concept to me. I've never thought of it.
Imagine.
I was like, wait, oh, because the way I was raised is that whenever you're hungry, the food is there. Go get food. That's it, and you eat alone. That's it. And it was so foreign for me that families sit together. It felt so weird. I never even thought of it.
But how has
That's
all
what
of
I
this
mean.
affected your life now? I mean, you're in a relationship. We've got your lovely girlfriend coming on the podcast as well. She's also an influencer. You know, with your friends, with your girlfriends, with your do you sometimes struggle to connect? Do you find
it affects different people differently?
Yeah. I mean, do people expect things from you that are just alien to you? Do you?
Yes, but it depends on the person. For example, as I said, have friends who are also have Russian, etc. So we grow up in essentially a very similar manner, and with them, we're completely fine. We completely understand each other in terms of like coldness. We might not even speak once in a month, and it's like whatever.
Or
2 months,
and you
whatever.
don't say hi.
Yeah,
or,
hi, whatever. You know. But in more personal, for example, with my girlfriend, I am being less affectionate than I should be, right? Because that as a concept is already much more foreign to me, because I got used to completely like zero affection and giving like say 20% more for me personally is already a lot because my comparison is zero. But for a more normal person who grew up more normally, let's say,
well,
in
there's
that
no such thing as normal, but yeah,
yeah,
let's
but you
say
get the
the
point.
more,
Like
the more usual,
a more usual family, let's say, right? A more usual family, they would expect a minimum of 50%, right? A minimum. But for me, already 20 is way more than what I'm used to. So I feel like I'm giving a lot, but they feel like they're not getting as much. That's the kind of difference in mentality which gives us a little bit of issues. But yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, she's actually in the room right now behind the scenes. So yeah, we'll get her side later.
Yeah, sure.
No, I'm laughing. Don't worry. So okay. So teenage Vlad grew up. I guess as a teenager you were quite.
I've had way more things because also at 10 years old my brother died, and
Your
because
brother from your dad.
yes, but why is that?
How?
Why is that he got murdered? But why is that important?
How old was he?
Around 36, 38, around that age. I don't remember
Okay, so how
exactly.
old was your dad when? Is your father still alive?
No, he died at 71 years old, roughly in 2020.
Okay, so 5 years ago.
Yeah. So
Okay. So he had you late.
yeah, he had me at
And then
50-ish.
okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right. So
why is that important?
No. Why was your brother murdered, first of all? What dodgy stuff was he
Well,
into?
he was into dodgy stuff. That's all you can say.
Like your dad.
Uh,
Your dad also, but he was more.
yeah, he was more exactly.
Okay.
That's a very good difference of have you seen that picture that let's say that you see like one person who is drinking a lot and one who is completely sober, and when they ask both why are you drinking or not drinking, both of their answers is like my father was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
So it's the exact same thing. He was seeing that, so he got fully into that, but I was seeing that, so I completely despised it. That was the kind of the difference.
Yeah. But then did his mother leave your dad, for example?
Yeah, but
maybe not. Did she? I mean, maybe he grew up like in awe of your father, and the mother maybe accepted it more.
I don't know really.
Yeah.
But why is that important? Because he was the brother that was the closest to my father, right? And he was the one who was also visiting the tavern the most often. But now I was forced to be at the tavern twice a week. And since he got murdered for being into dodgy stuff, if the people who killed him might not have gotten what they wanted, they might have gone after my father, after me. Who knows, right? You can't know.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what was going on. So I was living in constant fear that, oh, I might get kidnapped today. Oh, I might get killed today. Whatever.
Okay,
And
but how
eventually
did you
it
cope with
was
that?
so scary because I would think about it like day and night that I might go home right now, or I might go like to my dad and something might happen. Or I might just wait for my mother to pick me up from school and somebody's gonna come and like force me to go with them or something like that. I don't know. I couldn't know what was happening, so I was in that constant fear, and that was really scary. But eventually, I got so used to that fear. I was like, it is what it is. If I die, I die, kind of thing, you know.
But when was there an aha moment when it switched? I mean, do you remember? Because that fear is runs so deep in you as this little child, and yeah,
I
no
accepted
one's coming to
eventually.
save you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I accepted it eventually. That was like, if I die, I die.
Did you know that brother well, or?
Mm, mm, well, definitely way better than the rest, but not well enough.
Like you did you cry when he died?
Yes. I actually saw it in a dream. That was crazy. Because
Really? Before he died, or?
with the night he died, I don't even know how that works, right?
Yeah.
I remember exactly what was the dream. It was like complete darkness, and I was with him like talking, and it felt like the room was splitting into two black invisible boxes, and it was going apart. And literally, my mother wakes me up, and she's like, "Your brother died."
Wow.
Now I was crazy.
Crazy. Wow, a lot is coming out here. There's so much to unpack. So, okay, moving forward. Then what happened?
Then what happened? At 13 years old, I started working, like hard labor with my own hands. I was like uh, carrying around building materials, like 20-kilo bags and stuff, which also caused me some issues on my wrists.
Yeah.
But I got to
But
get.
okay, you're quite like beefed up, so.
Well, now, yeah, but I had to get money somehow, right?
And how old were you? 13 when
Yeah,
you started?
roughly,
Okay,
yeah.
that's when you started getting money for working.
Yeah. Roughly.
And that was, you did that on your own, or was your mom like, okay, you need to help out, or did you just realize I need a bit of pocket money?
It was a mix of everything, to be honest. It was like, we know a person who would take me on work, and she's like, you're a whole man. You're 13 years old. Russian, You're a whole man. You're 13 years old,
what's wrong with you?
You're sitting home playing video games.
Gotta love Russian mentality.
Yeah, she's like, you're 13 years old and you play video games. What are you, a child? Are you 6 years old?
Yeah, it's so strict.
Yeah, it was kind of, and I remember because at the end of the summer, I would miss like the whole summer working, and I would feel really bad about it because all my friends would be like in summer schools, on beaches, everything, and I was like, but I want to go play and stuff. And I can remember my mom being like, "You're a whole man. Why do you?"
Come on. Okay, so how did that feel when you got your first bit of money, like for yourself?
Well, when you're a child, even a little money feels a lot.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And I was getting paid 160 euros per week.
Wow.
Which,
I mean,
which for a 13-year-old was.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah. Okay, so you got your first taste of like independence, financial independence.
It wasn't
right?
really independence.
No, but for that age, it is. It's I mean, you can go and buy your own trainers. You can go and buy whatever
Technically,
it is.
yeah. I mean, I would give some money, because we would need like help with the bills and stuff. But yeah, I would keep some of it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that felt kind of
nice.
And then, wait. There was something important that I wanted to mention. Wait, which part is it? There was one very specific thing that was like important to the storyline that I was about to mention.
Don't worry, because you'll go on and then you'll say, "Oh, that was it," and we'll go back to it.
Okay, then we'll do that. So, 13 years old. Oh yeah. So meanwhile, my father, when he picks up like me twice a week, he's still. That's what I wanted to say before. So he's still like occasionally screaming at me, "Your mother is a whore," blah 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 blah, and I was crying in the car, scared. So eventually one day,
it just sounds awful, to be honest.
Yeah, I was crying day and night.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and there is a Russian saying that my mother would tell me all the time when I was crying all the time. She would be like, wait, what? Wait, oh my God, I forgot the saying, but she would say it all the time.
Yeah.
Essentially, which is like that has to do with carrying bags, like buckets of tea or something like that.
Yeah.
I completely forgot what it was, but she was
Yeah.
telling me all the time.
That you'll be all right. Like it will make you
It was a
stronger.
mix kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was basically like, you know what? Stop crying. Crying
Yeah.
gets you nowhere. Stop.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing.
Again, Russian, like, come on, you know, that's
Yeah.
why they've got the best athletes. And I
Yep.
see Russian clients here
Yeah.
with their children, stretching them to get
Yeah, yeah.
ready for, and the kids are crying, and the mum's like, "Stop it!
Stop
you know,
being a
send
bitch.
your
You're
baby."
13 years old.
They're like 6, you know, and it's like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" And the baby's
Yeah.
like, you
Yeah,
know,
exactly. I
you
know.
can do the splits. You
Yeah,
know?
that's exactly how it works. That's the funny part.
Oh my goodness. And I laugh when I go to the kids' shows, all the kids, I'm like, with my Russian friends, I'm like, you guys embarrass us because our kids come out, you know, the Cypriot kids, the Lebanese, they like this, they say something. And then the Russians come out and they backflip and they sing like an opera.
Why do you think that happens?
Seriously.
All starts from home. So anyway, one day I got so annoyed, so fed up. I literally told him, if you ever, the moment he was screaming, I started screaming back, and I tell him, I fucking promise you, if you scream at me again, I will stab you in your sleep. That's literally what I told him.
How old were you? Like 14, 15?
14, around 14.
Imagine. So you're quite big by then. Yeah.
I wouldn't really call me big, but...
Well, yeah, you weren't like
but I got so fed up by it. I literally started screaming and crying back that if you don't stop, I will stab you in your sleep.
Okay, I have a question for you. And we've got a long way to go now in the whole bio. But while you're talking, you're saying it with a lot of humor, you're smiling. Have you detached from this time? I mean, when you say it, do you almost like look back as if you're fly on the wall and you see it from another perspective? Or as if it happened almost to someone else or to an older part of you, not like really you? Do you know what I mean?
Both. I could do both, to be honest. I could do both, but no matter what, I would still describe it with a smile.
Yeah. No, I'm
because
sure.
I feel good about it. That's why.
You feel good about it because it's made you who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
correct.
you own it.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't wish it on anyone else.
Correct.
And I'm sure
it's the kind of thing that
when and if you have kids, you'll do everything for them not to have.
It's a kind of thing that I consider a huge advantage having it, but I wouldn't wish it to anyone to have it.
Yeah.
It's the kind of unfair advantage you have, but at what cost, kind of thing.
You know that a lot of in psychology, a lot of very successful people are people who have lost a parent when they're really young. And the reason is in psychology that they've already been through the worst. They've already lost it, and so they've got nothing else to lose. So they become the risk takers, they become the entrepreneurs, they do. And you're just the typical example of this almost, because maybe, your parents didn't die, but it's like worse than having a father.
Well,
and your
my
mother
father
left.
did die later on.
Yeah, well, but you were older then. But but from a young age, he did, because your mum removed you from that environment. He wasn't in your life for a few years. Before that, you were living the worst. So moving on later on in your life, it's like, well, I've already done it. Like, what do I have to lose now?
Yeah.
Let's go on social media and have fun, because there's no lower than, where I've been.
Exactly. But the funny part is that like on my usual day, I work a lot. Like, the thing is that I do nothing else, right?
Yeah.
I either work or I sleep.
Yeah.
So I have like 14, 15-hour work days.
But is that because you love what you do, or because you're running away from something else?
It's a combination of that I like what I do, but also because I got used to working completely shit jobs under the sun from a really young age. I'm like, this is so much easier, and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
So in comparison, it feels like so nothing that I just keep going.
So but the work ethic was installed in you from a young age. Yeah. Okay, so we're on to 14-year-old Vlad.
Around that age, I was pretty depressed, you could say, for reasonable reasons.
Okay, yeah, understandable.
Yeah, for understandable reasons.
I love the smile that comes with all of this,
Yeah, because in some aspect it's also quite funny, but anyway. So I was starting to kind of think what I want to do with my life, because I had genuinely zero clue. Like I've seen other people in my class like studying really well. I remember specific kids wanting to be doctors, lawyers,
Accountants, the
something,
usual, yeah.
but wanting to be something. That's the point. I had zero clue. I was the kid who was sitting at the very back of the class, barely touching the threshold to simply pass to the next class. And that's it.
Yeah, but is that because you weren't academic or just because you were going through so much shit at home?
It's a combination of
Then really, I mean, no one was encouraging you to study. You were probably preoccupied with all of the stress.
Yeah, correct.
You were, everything about your whole being was insecure. You probably worried your dad was going to come in any moment, or you were replaying what you'd been
To be honest,
through.
I don't know exactly what it was, but it's probably a combination of a lot of that stuff. And at the same time, it was that I kind of have lost faith or kind of the will to live because everything sucked so much, and I didn't see the glimpse of light.
And you
could
have a
say.
role model.
Yeah, I had no role model. I didn't see any glimpse of light. So I was just going through life and I didn't really care about. And the thing that kind of started to change it was, it's almost funny, but at the same time, that was the start, so I'll take it, right?
Okay.
So a very big problem of being in Cyprus is that you don't actually see many big role models or actually hear big realistic stories. So you can say to yourself, oh, I can do that as well. Because you're in the middle of nowhere, especially in Cyprus 2012-ish, which was essentially nothing back then, right?
Well, to me, it's like yesterday, but yeah.
Yeah, but back there, you can remember how was Cyprus back then and how is it now? It's two completely different places.
I remember it in the 80s.
So
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, so that was also the point where I was starting to be more on the internet.
The towers hadn't come up. I mean, like Limassol now is like mini Dubai, but then it was
it was nothing.
Yeah.
So at that point, I came across.
Yeah, we hadn't gone through the financial crisis though. That was coming. Yeah.
Yeah. So I came across on the internet the story of Sylvester Stallone, where essentially he was homeless and he wrote this script, which was he was so passionate about it, he wouldn't sell it to anyone unless he got to play the role. And that was my first piece of, you know what? There is actually some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
It may sound really cliche, whatever, like Hollywood actor, whatever, but that was the very first thing. It was like, I was like, wait, this dude got worse than me. I was never homeless. He was.
Yeah.
And he made it. Why not me? That was kind of the first thing that I started having that logic, right? And so I was kind of thinking that, playing my life back, and I was like, I always, one way or another, like to simply entertain. So I was like, okay.
But entertain in what way? Like with your friends, you were the joker. What was the way that you liked to entertain?
I would say dumb jokes. I would be like the more actorish style when we were like having a conversation.
And again, why?
I don't know why.
What, were you deflecting so that people
I
wouldn't
genuinely
ask
don't
you
know.
stuff? Were you uncomfortable with silences? Did you just like seeing people smile?
That's the thing. I genuinely don't know. All I knew was that, like, when I do...
Were you like that with your mum, or...?
No.
Because I was going to say again, a lot of jokes with I love Russians, so I'm not being... I say it, with all good humour.
No, I get it.
Yeah, you might be like, and they're like, I don't understand this
joke.
What
is this joke? So I don't understand. But yeah, I would always enjoy that, and I wasn't really sure why. I just knew that it was there.
Yeah.
So
because maybe it just made you feel.
So what did I do? I went home and I started writing movie scripts. I kid you not, I started like
Sylvester Stallone, genius.
No, I was literally there. I was like, if he did it, why not me? That was literally it. So I went home, I started writing scripts, I searched everything, like how to write the structure. Keep in mind, I was 14, I was doing all this research, and I actually wrote, I think, a 50,000 word movie or something script. Which wasn't bad.
That's a whole dissertation.
I showed it to one of my teachers, and they were like incredibly impressed for some reason, but they did nothing with it.
Okay. Yeah.
She was like, my teacher was like, "Wow, this is insane! You wrote this! Wow, send it to me, and I'll see what I can do with it." Never heard back from it anyway. So I would do that with like 2 or 3, and I even kind of remember I remember the titles.
Do you still have them?
I think so. They might be somewhere in my computer.
Yeah, you must. You must keep
I
them.
remember the first two. The first one was called Break the Cycle,
Okay.
but the entire script was like really fucked up
Yeah.
because it had to do like with alternative universes and stuff like that, and there was like a cycle. It was really complicated, but I found it really cool. And the second one was like Project Perfection. That was kind of it, which was something with human experimentation, granting superpowers through like diseases that people have. And as a concept, I found it really cool back then. To be honest, for the second one, I still do. Could make it work somehow. Anyway, anyway,
All
so
in the
I did all
plans.
that, right? And officially, my new answer as to what you want to be would be like, I want to be in Hollywood. That was my new reply.
Okay.
And you already know how everyone was looking at me when they heard that. Really? Like, bro, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, everybody was like, bro, who the fuck do you think you are? Everyone was like that.
Mm.
And the funny part is, right now, I actually have connections to Hollywood right now. So it's kind of funny in that aspect. But back then, no one would even take me 1% seriously, aside from one person, which is actually very interesting. Who do you think that one person was? My dad.
No way.
When I actually told him, he didn't even joke about it. He just said one thing that I carried with me for the rest of my life. He literally told, he looked at me and he's like, "Oh, that's fine. All you have to do is like find someone who has the most similar attributes to you and also is where you want to be. Break down all of the stuff they are or they can do, improve those, and you have no reason to not be in their position." It sounds so
Wise,
simple.
wise words.
It sounds so
That's
simple,
shocking.
but
And it came from the
yeah, I
person who had
know.
caused you so
It
much
sounds so simple,
distress.
but at that point in my head, I was like, wait, this actually makes so much sense. Because if you take any actor or literally anyone that you want to be in their position and you break down how they look, what they can do, everything, and you are simply even or better, why wouldn't you be there? And even though it's so logical and such common sense thing, for the 15-year-old me, it was such a big revelation in my head. I was like, wait, that actually makes so much sense.
I love it.
Yeah.
And
Anyways,
then?
I started kind of working on. The first thing I started working on is trying to control my feelings. That was the first thing that I really had to work on because my first instinctive thing was I would always start crying when something was like really disheartening or really bad because that's how I got used to. I was also all the time screamed at, beaten, everything, and I would
But
resort
you
to
would
crying
start crying, what, in front of people or on your own? Or you mean with
on
disappointments or?
on my own, or
Mm.
if I was in front of people, I would simply leave the place, and then I still would start crying. But it was like my natural coping mechanism, let's say.
Even as a late teen and yeah.
Yeah, around 15, 16. So
Until
especially
now?
when somebody was screaming at me, I would really feel that
Yeah, of
I
course.
am nothing. I am a piece of shit. I deserve
Well,
nothing good
because
in my
it's a
life.
trigger.
Yeah,
It reminded.
exactly, it was a trigger. So
Do
that
you still cry a lot?
no,
No.
no. But
It would be okay if you did,
yeah,
but
but the entire thing was that I'm like, okay, if I want to be able to speak to people, act, do whatever I want, I need to be able to control and unleash feelings on demand, right? So I would literally started reading books about psychology, all of that stuff to see how that triggers. Why does it trigger? So I can kind of reverse engineer it in my head. How do I control and I can actually lay out the feelings that I want to on the specific? How do you stop from fearing something? How do you? And I started working on those aspects, let's say. And I did have a very big improvement, especially when I was most of the times scared to speak to two people or more. I would be so scared of like socializing because I'm like, oh, what if I say something wrong? I was absolutely terrified of speaking in front of the class. Literally, when the teacher would pick me to say absolutely anything, I would panic so much. And I have one very specific thing in my mind that the teacher chose me to answer a question, and I had no idea what to say. I panicked. So I started reading what was already on the book, who somebody else wrote, right? So somebody else's answer. So I'm like, so the answer, the question was something about like immigrants or something like that, right? And the answer on the paper was something along the lines of, oh, we should help them because it's a shame that they don't have anywhere like else to go, something like that. So I wasn't even thinking because I was so panicked, right? I was so shocked. And as soon as I'm done, literally a student next to me asked me, isn't your mother an immigrant? The amount of shame and panic I got at that time, I remember it until today because I literally froze. I wanted to cry, I froze, I didn't know what to say because I was already panicking by speaking in front of the class. I was also called out for being wrong and being like so stupid about it.
But that's really normal because had you have been noticed as a child, you would have been abused. So you
Yeah,
grew
but
up
the rest
making yourself.
the rest of the kids don't know
No,
that.
of course they didn't
So
know. But you grew up having to make yourself invisible. So that continued
yeah, so
into the classroom once you know you're
so you can
growing up
understand
life.
about public speaking and
Yeah.
how much I was shitting myself. So I actually recognize that one of the most important skills to absolutely any person is public speaking. So I would practice that so much, and to come to a point where you absolutely can perform or present absolutely anything without even notes to back you up is a very big thing, I believe. Because in my university years, I was the only student in the entire class who'd never used a PowerPoint. Everyone would come with a shitload of notes, with a PowerPoint behind them, and they would read it, they would present, blah, 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 blah. I was the only one with nothing. I just walk in, the way you see me now, and I'm like, all right, guys, this is what I'm presenting today.
And this was at uni, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And which university did you go to?
Tebak,
Tebak,
Technological University of Cyprus. So I actually developed that skill so much because of the previous years that I felt that embarrassment and stuff that I didn't care, and I could literally even present something which I have zero clue about. And I also did that once. I also did that once in university just to prove that. We had like a psychology lecture kind of thing, and we had to present small things. We had to present essentially small presentations on various psychology aspects or whatever we get to pick, right? Everybody came with their notes, everybody came with their PowerPoints. I was the only one who came empty handed. So essentially, I almost kind of forgot about it and I had like one night before. So what did I do? I presented the concept that you can not only convince anything or anyone of anything just by the way you speak.
Yeah.
So I literally made up a presentation on the spot that had zero facts, zero real events, and I was presenting them in a way that everything was real, right?
Yeah, you're like acting. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously that's not what I said, but I would be saying something along the lines of, and actually, guys, when Elon Musk invented Facebook in 1928, he was so eager, he would stuck in his office 24/7, and he was working his ass off. Because
it's all wrong.
Yeah,
it's all
exactly. But the way I present it, you're hooked. It feels real. So that was the whole point of the presentation. At the end, I was like, and that was my presentation about how you can convince anyone of anything just with the way you say it.
Oh my goodness. I love it. Okay, so how did social media come into play?
So it was the closest thing to entertaining people I had access to. And I always did a little bit of YouTube, but it was mostly gaming ever since I was like 13, 12, 14. Whenever I wasn't out or doing anything, I was on my laptop gaming, trying to stay away from real life as much as possible. And I would upload like clips of my gaming, whatever. And I actually really did enjoy it. Like I would rewatch them myself, and I was like, "Oh shit, I was the one who did that. That's pretty cool." So eventually, I was doing some of those gaming videos, And at some point, YouTube was actually starting to becoming really big. People were getting money out of it. Specifically that like 2015, 16, 17 was really blowing up when it comes to YouTube. Like you would see YouTubers driving Lamborghinis, having mansions, everything. And at that point, you kind of realize that this is a real job, right? But obviously in Cyprus, no one would believe that. So I was starting to make some real life videos when I was like 18 years old. They didn't go do really well. I ended up having like 150 subscribers, roughly. And after seeing a few other YouTubers who really succeeded and were in similar positions as me, like they started from nothing and they just managed to grow everything, I did that as well. I started doing every single kind of video I could think of with the hopes that something will go well. Nothing did. So I started working at Park Lane as a
Okay.
fitness instructor, yeah, and I was also in the final year of my university. Uh, One small thing that I forgot to mention, I also went to Big Brother Greece, and that was why I put a pause on my studies. But when
But how were you invited to Big Brother?
essentially they wanted to exploit the story I just told you for views.
Okay.
So, drama sells,
Yeah.
this poor child, help him, blah,
Yeah.
blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Because at that point you weren't famous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Even
So,
after
okay.
it, I wasn't. Because
Yeah.
essentially, I just got exploited for my story,
Yeah.
and then I got kicked out.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
simple as that.
And yeah, because you didn't last. You told me you didn't last
Yeah.
very long on it.
So I didn't
How
get.
many months?
It was 35 days,
Yeah.
but I wasn't shown on screen almost at all.
Yeah.
So I didn't get realistically almost anything out of it.
Yeah.
I got at best 4,000 followers combined on all
Yeah.
platforms,
Yeah.
which is nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got out of the game and I started actually like believing in myself a little bit more. Also, after the game, that's where I met Samantha.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like literally the next day, she was also in a reality show.
One minute. Which after Big Brother or
After Big Brother, she
Yeah.
was also at the same time in a different reality show,
Yeah.
and we met the essentially next day ish after getting kicked out, right? Because we both were kicked out
at the same time? Okay.
yeah, at the same time, yeah.
Yeah.
And she was also having like similar interests and stuff. And I could say that also kind of pushed me because I had someone to do the videos with,
Yeah.
and it didn't feel so lonely. It felt like somebody was actually believing in this,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a very important
Cheering
part.
you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, and helping.
I could say that I think at many times she was literally the only one who believed in it. The only one. Even I've had points where every single one lost like belief in me, and she was the only one who never did. It was
Oh, you
actually
guys are so cute.
it's really amazing.
How long have you been dating?
5 years.
5 years. Okay.
So what happened then? I started working. I was gathering money because I wanted to go in America and try something. And at the same time, I was anyway doing a lot of stuff. I was also doing some of the studies. I was involved into a lot of things. Long story short, I gathered the money. I quit from both university and the fitness job that I had at the other hotel. And when everyone was asking me, why did you quit? I'm going to become a YouTuber. That was my new answer.
So you didn't finish university?
Nope. I dropped out on the final year.
Exactly, but you're so close to finishing.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't know what it was, but I had that feeling that in this 1 year, I could achieve so much more than just get a degree.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I just had a feeling about it. Right? So I got to America. Everything falls apart. It didn't go as planned at all. Now I come back. I have no job. I have no degree, and I'm in debt.
So everything, but again, you see, you've already been through the worst.
Yeah, I know, I know
like,
that. Yeah,
it?
I know. And she was the only one who was still believing in me.
Yeah.
Everyone else was like.
But that's why you're smiling. You've got a girlfriend. You've got hope. You're young. Like you went through worse. Like this is still better times than what you lived as a kid. Yeah.
So I can recall myself like losing my shit. I was just sitting on my bed. I was panicking, freaking out because, as I said, I was in debt. Nothing worked. I believed so much in this and nothing worked. So I essentially told to myself that you have 2 months to succeed. And I had to figure out a way. How do I become a global level creator from practically what at that point was almost zero in 2 months? Because I was earning like $300 a month at that point, and obviously cannot live with that money.
So
So
how many? $300 from YouTube.
yeah,
How many followers did you?
I can recall myself like losing my shit. I was just sitting on my bed. I was panicking, freaking out because, as I said, I was in debt. Nothing worked. I believed so much in this and nothing worked. So I essentially told to myself that you have 2 months to succeed.
Mm.
And I had to figure out a way. How do I become a global level creator from practically what at that point was almost zero in 2 months? Because I was earning like $300 a month at that point, and obviously cannot live with that money. 2023, and we had this agreement that in that specific month I need to make $2,000 from YouTube. Otherwise, I will have to go with him every single day, like in working out and helping him and a lot of things anyway,
Yeah.
which I didn't want to do, right? But I had to jump from 300 to 2,000 in a single month, which I've never done before.
Yeah.
Which technically you could say that that's a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So I was walking around, I can fully recall it. I was walking around up and down on the beach side, and I was thinking, what can I do that is so good that sets me up apart from everyone? How? And essentially, I came back to the original plan that my father told me. Find someone who is where you want to be and break down everything and improve it. That's the same thing I did. I found the biggest creators in the space where you can say they were the more similar to me to what I was doing back then. And I broke down every single aspect from the hook to how they engage with the audience to how they're known, everything. And I sat down and I said, okay, if I do this, what's gonna happen? I released one video with those parameters improved, 1 million views in 5 days. My subscriber count started getting insane. A specific clip from that video went so viral, it was everywhere. Reddit, Twitter, it was everywhere. And I was lucky enough that I thought of adding my tag in the middle of the clip.
So which video was it?
It was one of my first Omegle clips,
Yeah.
like Fake Girl, whatever. So it went so
where,
viral.
okay, all right, and let's go into that. You dress up as a woman
Correct.
in a lot of your videos. You've got an alter ego. You're very masculine as a guy. And then there's this girl that comes out with the huge cleavage, and you've still got your muscles, and you've got your nails, and you put this fabulous hair, and you change your voice. Where did that idea come from? And second question, why are you so comfortable being that lady?
All right, so where the idea came from was that because I was already trying like many different video ideas, as I told you before, I was trying everything you can possibly name, like comedy sketches, fitness, movies, music, gaming, and a lot of other stuff. Until one day I came across an American YouTuber who was doing that specific thing. He was dressing as a girl, he was doing this kind of prank, and I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. That's one of the things I haven't tried. Let's try that one. I tried it, and it went better than the rest of my videos because the rest of my videos were getting 100 views, but that one got 300 views. For me, that's a 3x. That's insane. Especially in that like short span amount of time, getting 300 views was like, that's nuts. So I was like, okay, that's what it is. I'm gonna try and work on this a little bit more. Then the next video got 500, 700 views. And for me, that was so huge because I've never seen that amount of views before. So I was really happy. And I'm like, okay, this is working, and that's what I will keep working on.
And you weren't embarrassed being in Cyprus, some of your friends must have found it pretty funny.
I was, but at the same time,
don't get me wrong, I think it's great, but I'm trying to break it down.
but at the same time, because it was working, I kind of wasn't caring as much.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, because I'm like, you know what? This is the most.
You're not waiting for other people to define you. Like, you know yourself.
This is working. Therefore, I don't care what everyone else. You're not gonna pay my rent, kind of thing,
Yeah. Amazing.
So
Okay.
eventually that got me to a few hundred subscribers, blah, blah, blah.
So you literally started there as a prank. It's not because you had ever before dressed up as a woman or that you have inclinations that way
No,
or
it
because
was one of the
you're
things that I haven't tried.
bisexual
It
or you
was
know what I mean? There's so many like yeah, people out there that do love it
Yeah,
and
I
they
get it.
are
I get
yeah,
it. It was one of the things
yeah.
that I haven't tried in
Mm.
terms of content.
Okay, interesting. I love it.
Mm.
Okay, and so what are your most successful videos, or what are the ones that have surprised you? You're like that you thought maybe would do well, but they've actually gone massive. And
Usually, I'm pretty good at predicting what's gonna do
okay,
well. So with the moment I'm editing something and I see that this is good, I already know it's gonna do
you already
insane.
know, yeah.
So I would say that I have about a 90% accuracy when it comes to predicting which of my
Mm.
videos are gonna do really well. And
Do you ever post anything that you're like, oh, it's all right, or you make sure you
I
always
have other
post?
channels for that.
Yeah, okay.
So I have my main channel, which is like, okay, this is the best video I could do on that specific topic.
Hmm.
I might be aware that it might not be performing that well, but for what it is, it's good.
Mm.
But I have a few other clips or videos that might be like, that's not as good, so I'm gonna post it on a different channel.
Okay.
Because what happens a lot of the times is that some of the videos that I consider meh are actually better than my competition.
Yes.
So they would still get views
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
aspect because
Yeah. And your followers still
even
want
though
them.
for me are not that great, they are better than other creators,
Mm.
therefore they will get views, so why throw it away?
I love it. And tell us about the music now, because you started doing music, like songs and
Yeah.
yeah, well,
So
that's the best part that you haven't automatically smiled. Come on, tell us about that.
so aside from my girl character,
Yeah,
I also made a rapper character,
yeah.
which I feel that the part that it's two like polar opposites
Hmm.
things makes it so much more hilarious.
Yeah,
And the entire social experiment behind this is that I wanted to remain as anonymous as possible until the
yeah.
character blew up. And just to prove that just if you know what you're doing, right? And you're willing to put in the work, and like if you move strategically, from zero, you can still make it. That was my entire idea that even if you're stupid, if you're whatever, if you have a plan, you can actually make it work. That's kind of the
And you
idea
did.
behind
So,
it.
so you posted this not as Vlad, and it
As
went
a
to
guy with
like
the mask,
yeah,
and I was gonna do it. Okay, I need to do it as fast as possible
yeah.
just to prove it. Because if I can succeed in a month or two, then no one,
And how big is that? The videos of the rapper.
how in terms of views, you mean?
Mm,
Well, they did really viral. I mean, many people were reacting to it. I got like plenty of videos with like 500,000
mm.
views, stuff like that.
Yeah, I
Which
saw some of
for
them.
Greek speaking audience, they're actually really
Yeah.
respectable views. And wait, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so the whole idea is that, as I said, if I can do it in a month, without using the
Yeah.
Vlad fame or whatever,
Yeah.
then why can't you? You know, it's also a little bit more motivational kind of thing. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna use every single trick in the book to make it
Mm.
happen. So I started from the very basic one, which is like some rage bait to
Hmm.
get people in, because you cannot sell something if no one is looking at it. That's the first thing. The second one is I don't know if it's that what it's called, but I found out that it's a Hollywood technique that was also used on Tony Stark.
Mm.
And the reason why Tony Stark is as loved and as popular as he is behind the way his character development was made.
Mm.
What do I mean by that? Tony Stark, and eventually when he comes in Iron Man 1, he's seen on this as this douchebag that everyone hates, and they make the character development that you see through the struggle, through his hard work, you see him evolving.
Mm.
Right, so I kind of tried to apply that concept that I come off as a complete douchebag, as a complete person who everyone is supposed to hate, and then you can clearly see an improvement and an evolution in the craft.
Mm.
And as that goes, people realize that, and not only those who come in to hate, they're like, oh wait, this is actually not bad. They also see that evolution, and they're like, okay, this is getting better and better, better and better. I actually want to see what's going on. What's the next thing? So I took that concept and I applied it as better as I could. Let's say I have like a whole strategic approach behind it, but it's gonna take a lot of time to analyze it now.
I think we need to have a second podcast. I have to go in a minute. I actually have to do an interview for a job, like my real job, running the hotel. Oh my goodness, but no, seriously, I think we need to have another podcast because there is so much.
Yeah, I know. When you said 1 hour, I was like, what are we gonna say in an hour?
And now, like an hour's gone, and I'm like,
with Eddie, I was like 3 hours in, and we still had like
I
a lot of
haven't
stuff.
even touched on some of the stuff. Okay, so let's round up then, just with a few. So
Okay,
what,
get to the questions.
Okay, 1 minute. So NCL, where did that come from?
My surname Nicola.
Okay, the fake boobs. How do you do those?
It's my actual chest pushed together, literally this.
And then with loads of padding.
And then the bra just covers the empty part, and it gives the illusion that it's full.
Oh my! I was trying to work out all this time. I
have a tutorial.
Oh, you see? Yeah. Well, I told you I didn't do too much research because I wanted to be authentic with the questions. Okay, I ask everyone this: your favorite quote.
I have to.
Okay, let's hear too.
Okay, in any situation that happens, 20% is what actually happens and 80% how you react to it. And that's how a situation is shaped. Even if the worst situation that could possibly comes across, it's just the 20%. The other 80%, you're in control.
Yeah.
So you can turn a bad situation good just from the perspective. Yeah. That's the one. And the second one, which for me personally was motivational, but for other people, I don't think it will, is that nobody cares.
You know what? I actually say that a lot. And I tell people, don't take yourself too seriously. Like, no one. I get calls sometimes from people like, oh, Farah, you posted this, you know, and they're in it as well. Can you remove it? You didn't use a filter. I don't like myself in it. I'm like, no one cares. No one is staying up at night, zooming in to look whether you look right or I look okay, or my eyes are perfectly. It's okay. You know, who cares?
Those would be my top two, I would say.
I love that. I love that. Okay, and where do you see yourself going? What's the dream?
I don't want to jinx it, but I do have like massive plans for especially for the upcoming 3 years.
Okay.
But all I'm gonna say is that you're gonna see me all around the world.
All right. Well, I hope so. I hope so. Let's see you everywhere. Honestly, your story is inspirational. Oh, do you want to share with the listeners how much you earn, or like what? Like not okay. Everyone will be like taxing you now, but like what can people get from social media? There's no limit.
There is no limit.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I think
just as everything, because
but do you think that a lot of people have the dream but without wanting to do the work?
Yes.
And then
yes, absolutely. Yeah. Because can you name one thing that you can be the best at in the world and not be rich as fuck?
Really good question.
What can you be the best at in the world and not be rich as fuck?
Well, I want to say like a career like maybe waiting or but then it's hospitality. Then you'd go to management, then you might end up owning.
Yeah, but the thing is that I'm talking world class, the best.
Yeah.
Can you be at absolutely anything the best and not get paid stupidly high amounts of money?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. Because in my field, I am, if not the best, I'm definitely the best in some fields, but in some others that I still qualify for, I'm like top 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mentioned this on another podcast because I read the Matthew McConaughey book. It's really good if you haven't read it. And his dad told him when he said, I want to be an actor, and he was going to be a lawyer. And his dad said, well, son, don't half-ass it. And he didn't expect his dad to say that. And all his life, he just thought, whatever I'm going to do it. Yeah. Like, don't half-ass it.
Yeah.
And so when he won his Oscar,
if you're going to go all in.
If you're going to go all in, 2 feet. Right, last question, my dear.
What is this?
But I don't know.
Oh.
Okay, so these are questions the hotel staff put together. All our team get to ask a question, and they're random.
What's the best compliment you've ever received?
Oh, I love that.
Irini Mike. The best compliment I've ever received. I don't know what's the best one, but I definitely know it's from here.
Aww.
I don't know what's the best one, but the moments that I felt like the most appreciated, let's say the most
Yeah,
heartwarming,
from Samantha.
it would be from here. So I don't know what exactly it is, but it's something from here.
Oh, that's so sweet. Maybe just that you're good enough as you are.
Oh no, I hate when people tell me that.
You're good enough. Why? You want to be
I
better?
absolutely hate that because in my mind I'm always the complete opposite. I need to get better.
You want to get better. Yeah,
And
but that's great. That's life. You can always be better.
yeah, so I hate when people tell me you're good enough because that's
Yeah.
what held me back originally. Because
Yeah.
like my family, all my friends were like, "Oh, you're already really good. Don't lose weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't try. Just get your degree." I absolutely hate that mentality so much that
Interesting.
whenever somebody tells me you're good enough, it just triggers me. So no.
Well, keep on going for it. Vlad, thank you so much. Honestly, I could be here for another 5 hours just chatting away. So I just want to wish you all the best, every success. I can't wait to have Samantha on this podcast as well and hear the ladies' side of influencing. You're doing a great job and you're just a lovely person.
Thank you so much.
So keep it
Nice to
up.
meet you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button because it helps us more than you may realize. If you are planning on coming to visit us at St. Raphael Resort and Marina, feel free to email our reservations team quoting Hotel Talk and receive an exclusive offer just for you. We look forward to seeing you soon, hearing your feedback about our show, and producing many, many more interesting episodes just for you, our listener, and our valued guest in mind. Thank you so much, and take care.